WLRN Video presents.
Hello, WLRN listeners, and welcome to Getting Organized, an activist primer with Elizabeth Miller. This is a new monthly podcast segment I'll be doing for WLRN. I'm a longtime listener to WLRN and a longtime radical feminist activist and organizer. Many women are engaging in discussions about threats to women's rights around the world. Many of these women would like to know more about how to organize to fight these threats. In this segment, I'll interview women who have created their own organizations and projects to fight these threats. My hope is that this segment will give you ideas and tools to do your own feminist projects and activism. And this month, I'm going to be interviewing Ann Menasche, who is a lawyer and the founder of Feminists and Struggle, which is a national radical feminist organization organized a few months ago. So welcome, Ann. And could you tell us about how and why you decided to found Feminists and Struggle, which we call FIST, the acronym is FIST, what your goals were for organizing FIST, and kind of the process that you used to found and organize the organization?
Sure. First of all, we're 3 years old. You said months ago, so time.
Did I say months? Sorry, I meant.
Yes. We're going to be 3 years old on March 8th. That was our launch 3 years ago. So it's really exciting. There was a lot of things going on at that time when I decided to get a group of women together and found Feminists and Struggle. I was dealing with the rise of trans activism and some very repressive acts against me to try people were going after my job. I've been a longtime feminist and activist and was not very unhappy with how things had been going backwards. So I try to see about getting involved and addressing, in particular, the issue of transgender ideology, which was beginning to pervade all over the place. And so I did join Wolf for like about a month. But I was quickly disillusioned because two things. One is their emphasis toward working with the far right, who I always considered and still consider enemies of women's liberation, homophobic and sexist enemies of women's liberation. And secondly, because if they were board run, there was no way I could influence their orientation. It wasn't democratic. So my vision was to create a grassroots radical feminist organization run by its members on a national basis with lots of local chapters. That was my vision. That would be multi-issue, would address the encroachments of the trans ideology, but not be limited to that, but really try to revive a radical feminist movement in the United States. And I know that's incredibly ambitious.
Big.
Ambitious, so I attended the media conference. Yes, right. And got some people to sign up. As I said, hey, you want to build this new organization? Here's my vision. Here's my dream organization. Are you interested? And I got a lot of women to sign up. And then we started having meetings and try to put together a statement of principles. So we have 13 principles that are on our website. And we started getting organized, bylaws, the whole business. So that took a long time because we had lots of women participating in this on phone call, teleconferences at that point. I don't think there were Zoom meetings, there were teleconferences. And so we had a whole series of those and got, kicked off 3 years ago, March 8th. So and that's, still the vision. We were set back by the pandemic because we were about to have a national conference and we canceled. But we've been trying to, build our activism, do a lot of education. We have an education campaign an education series that's just been launched. And still trying to, create a grassroots localized presence as well. So we have a lot of ambitions. We have a long way to go.
Yeah, so
And
tell us
yeah.
more about what FIS's main projects, past, present, and future have been and are.
Okay, all
And
right. So, okay. So our signature contribution was the feminist amendments to the Equality Act, which was drafted by me and two other lawyers in FIST. And that was, again, a many months process of trying to write this collectively in order to keep the good parts of the bill and preserve the rights of the expansion of gay and lesbian rights and the rights of people who are gender nonconforming without eroding the sex-based rights of women and girls. So we wanted to make it real clear and protect it, make sure that women were defined as a sex, were protected with women that would have rights to our own spaces and programs, and that would not be encroached on through gender identity. So we spent a huge amount of time with that. We actually did form a coalition to work on that with the LGB Alliance USA and the Georgia Green Party as two main actors. And we did some lobbying. We, presented testimony, written testimony before Congress. And so we were working on that because it didn't look like it was about to get out of committee. That's kind of taken a back seat at the moment. We're not sure if we'll revive it or not, but that was a big area of our activity. When our oh, sorry.
All right, tell us about the multi-part feminist education series that you're doing.
Yeah. So it's called Our Radical Feminist Roots. Actually, it's conceived as a two-part series. Our Radical Feminist Roots goes to the history of a little bit of the first wave and getting really heavily into the second wave. So we've about 60 women have signed up, and we're reading books and articles and seeing films and having discussion. So the whole point is to learn history, learn from our herstory, and it's, I think, really important when you're trying to revive a movement that women are aware of the history of women who've come before us.
And how did you decide to do that series, and how did you actually put it together? What was the process?
Basically committee. That's how we work, by committee. We had just me and two other women in FIST who we put together the program, redid the program, got feedback from our Feminist Assembly, which is our democratic body that runs the organization, made a bunch of changes, additions, and then started selling tickets. So yeah, so that's how we did it, and we gathered a bunch of material. We had to do a lot of thought about there's so much stuff. Oh my God! So this is going to be the first part of hopefully a two-part series. The second part being a whole bunch of other books, more contemporary radical feminist theory. So we can get really heavily into that. But this is like the history or herstory part of the series. So we're really excited about that.
So you plan to do a second series that gets more heavily into feminist theory?
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the plan. We also when we had to cancel our conference, we had all these speakers lined up, and I thought, what are we going to do with all these speakers? And so we discovered Zoom and Eventbrite.
As many of us did.
And Eventbrite we saw used for the class as well. But using those two tools, we have had a series of forums on everything from gender identity to the Equal Rights Amendment to abortion rights to academic freedom, just all kinds of issues where we have, again, they're very interactive. We like to encourage women to discuss and ask questions and express their opinions. So we've had some great forums up to, I think, between 20 and 150, depending on the forum, have shown up. So they've been really quite successful.
And are you still hoping to have a conference once, if the pandemic is ever over?
Yes, we've been squirreling away our money because we believe in being independently funded. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be beholden to corporations or, anything like
what
that,
would that
or the right or anything. We want to be independent. So we've been squirreling away our little nickels and dimes from these things in order to have a little bit of seed money to actually do a conference.
And what would you like the conference to focus on? What's the vision for it?
Well, I think that's still in process. So I don't have a completely, because it's different than it was 2 years ago. Things are different.
Sure.
But I would see it as a combination of a educational conference, but also an activist conference, because I think we're getting to the point of the education is extremely important right now, but also we need, and we are beginning to be out there protesting and, that sort of thing. And we've been out there, we have a banner, we've gone to pro-abortion rights marches, women's marches, things like that. And we've participated in the protest in Washington, I think it was in Washington, like a year ago. We're interested in what's going on with the women's prisons and getting involved with that. So, and trying to build chapters on the ground so we can actually say, hey, there's something happening. We want to be part of it, and try to, get people on the ground involved, as well as building coalitions, because we're all little small groups and we need to work together.
Great. And do you have other goals for FIST Future? What other types of projects would you like to achieve for activism?
Well, I want us to be out there whenever there's any issues that are of concern to women. I want us to be out there with our banners and our t-shirts and to be participating in coalitions and building our base and really building active chapters. So really having a membership base and a membership run organization, that I think is like a model that I would like to see happen, and which will be hopefully a little easier once that we really are over this pandemic. I think it'll be a little bit easier to do that. So we're trying to make sure we actually have people on the ground who can carry things out and who are also part of the participatory democracy we want to establish.
Can you talk a little bit more about forming coalitions? Like, how did you go about forming the coalition with the LGBT Alliance USA and the Green Party to work on the feminist amendments to the Equality Act? How did that come about?
Well, I think there was someone, it started out with someone who was in both the new LGBT Alliance, which was just forming, and FIST, and it kind of brought us together, actually. So I can't even say I initiated that, but and then I was connected with the Green parties, and we had a big fight in the Green Party over gender identity, and basically they unfortunately succeeded in throwing out Georgia for signing the International Declaration. But anyway, so I already had that connection, and so we just ran with it. Once I was invited to an LGBT meeting, we just started talking about working together, and we did it, and it was great. We had coalition meetings on everything on Zoom, of course, and did some. We wrote to every senator in the country, and raised
about the Equality Act.
Yeah, about the Equality Act, for the feminist amendments to the Equality Act, to try to get somebody's attention that you don't have to be a right winger to be critical of this act, and there's a way of making it a win-win for everybody, and that's what we were trying to do. So there's nothing to do with bigotry or anything like that. So we wanted to get that message across that sex matters and sex-based rights matter, and sex should not be eroded, and it's not in anybody's interest to do that. And so that's the message. It's still a struggle to get that heard, and that definitely is one of our goals, is to bring that message out and connect up, because we in a way we are the left wing of the new radical feminist milieu. And though the left as a whole has been very, very bad on these issues, there's beginning to be a little bit of inroads, and we want to see that you can have politics that are left-wing or progressive and radical feminists at the same time, and that we can build a grassroots movement that's independent too, shouldn't be beholden to anybody. And we don't need right-wing alliances to do that.
You are listening to WLRN.
Great. I agree completely. Can you say more? Do you have thoughts about how to build chapters around the country? I think that's a big job, and I don't really.
Oh God, yes.
I don't.
Yes,
really
we are. Yes, it's a big job. We have members scattered all around the country, but there's been pockets of some places have a few people that are not that far away, or in the same city, or in the same general area of the country. And so our plan is, and this is still in the works, our plan is to connect people up, to have, maybe a woman of that group take some responsibility to try to put something together, to have a meeting in person if possible, or at least online or on the phone, and try to connect up the women that are in a certain area. So yeah, and then of course we're hoping that Chicago, the women's Salon that you organize will be an affiliate. So we also encourage independent feminist groups and organizations who agree with our principles to become an affiliate, which means they maintain their independence as an organization, but they also support FIST. So we want to be an umbrella of radical feminists that have this grassroots approach to reviving a women's liberation movement.
Yeah, as you alluded to, I'm the founder of the Chicago Feminist Salon, and we have many of our members are also FIST members, and we've done actions with FIST, carried the FIST banner at various women's marches and protests. So that is one example of building chapters and building coalitions.
Yes, and we had in San Diego, we had a little brunch just a couple months ago, right before the Christmas, of about seven women. So that was really exciting to do that. And I think that we just want to continue to make those kind of connections, begin to meet together, socialize together, get to know each other, and then we can march together, or we can protest together, and we can organize together.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the main sort of social areas, or what I'm struggling for words here? What are some of the main topics or problems that FIST wants to work on in terms of radical feminist theory and
or activism?
Activism,
yeah. The theory is in our discussions, our forums, and our education program. But in terms of activism, I think it's fighting against gender identity ideology, for women-only spaces and programs, things like women in prison, the transitioning of, quote unquote, of gender nonconforming and lesbian girls and young women. That is horrific. We also care about the Equal Rights Amendment, which should be in the Constitution now. And
what about abortion rights?
And of course, and I was going to say that absolutely, abortion rights is so important. So that's all important. Abortion is obviously seriously threatened, and we have to do some major organizing around that. So we did participate in there was a local march some months ago in San Diego, and we were there with the FIST banner and with our own statement, making it clear that it's women as a sex that are being oppressed by these threatened restrictions on abortion rights, and the continuing lack of access, which is going to get a whole lot worse. And we're terrified that women are going to end up in prison for any suspicious miscarriage, basically. And that's really, having control of your reproduction is so essential to women's liberation, and something I fought on for decades. I was involved in that issue and fought really hard for it. So I think that's extremely important. I think violence against women is important, and there has to be attention to violence against women. We have to have our own days of remembrance, right? Really, to get attention. Yeah. And then that includes a whole gamut of everything from domestic violence to sexual harassment on jobs, to rape, to prostitution, all that, and pornography. It's all part of a piece, and it is a tool in keeping women oppressed. So that's important as well. So there's so many issues, and that's why we have a multi-issue approach. And if you read our 13 principles, you'll see that we take stands on lots of things, and they're all.
Where can women read about that? Where can they read more about that?
Feministstruggle.org is our website. You'll see our 13 principles up there. There's a short version and the long version. It's basically a pretty complete program for women's liberation. I'm sure it could be tweaked and developed further, but pretty complete program for what needs to be done for women to no longer be the second sex. That's on my mind because we discussed Simone de Beauvoir last night at our class. So in order for those kind of changes, the kind of changes that need to be made, legal equality is important. Affirmative action is important. Women-only spaces are important. I'm not going to choose or sacrifice one for the other because they're completely interconnected.
Is that important to FIST to not be a one-issue organization?
Yes, it is. We see it as a piece, and you can't. I mean, I'm not going to sacrifice abortion in order to have a bathroom. I mean, I mean that's just. I'm not. That's not a good choice. I want to be able to have my privacy, my spaces, women-only spaces. And I want women to be able to control our bodies. So these things are extremely important, and we can't sacrifice one for the other. We have to have, in my opinion, we can focus on something, and not that we can't have campaigns or coalitions, but we need to keep in mind, does this advance the movement as a whole, or does this derail us in some fashion or compromise us?
Do you want to say more about how all of these issues are related and intertwined?
Yeah, because if we disappear sex as a category, of course, we can't fight for our rights as women, and we can't even measure inequality in the workplace or in pay or in crime statistics. We can't even measure it. It becomes invisible. So obviously it's extremely important that we're able to identify sex, because that's how we're oppressed, is based on sex. So that's extremely important. And you cannot fight effectively for abortion rights if you don't talk about the group of people who have this one thing in common. We're impregnable. We're born with the bodies that can carry children. And so that has to be said. And it's going to derail the abortion rights movement if we can't talk about the group that's affected. It would be like having Black Lives Matter protests where you can't say Black. I mean, that's so it's all connected. Yeah. And the Equal Rights Amendment is connected to a lot of things because it's sex in the Constitution. I know we have to fight to make sure sex means sex, but it is sex. They had sex in the Constitution. That's really important. And it will increase our ability to fight for abortion rights. It'll give us another legal hook. So, and everything else, because there's the economic aspect of women's oppression is often not talked about, but it's a huge thing that women still are poor disproportionately, that women still don't get equal pay, that women still are excluded from lots of jobs or kept. Very, very few women can get into certain jobs. Women have been pushed out of the trades. When a few women were in the trades in the 80s, and we're all basically pushed out by sexual harassment. See how things are connected. So, yeah, it's all a one piece. It all works together to reinforce patriarchy, and we can focus, on certain things and be in coalitions to focus, but we have to see that we're trying to create a women's liberation movement. We're trying to revive the radical feminism of the second wave, basically.
Well, thank you, Ann. Before we finish up, what else would you like the WLRN listeners to know about FIST?
We recruit. I mean, we recruit, and we don't just want to get your name down so you can give us some money, that we like money too, because we want to be so supporting. We want activists. We want women who want to participate and help mold our group, because we have real membership. Wait a second. So we want to bring people to our organization, and not just as worker bees, but as people who can actually help shape our organization as an organization and help make decisions and help move us forward. So we want activists.
So is it important that FIST is a democratically run organization and democratically organized? And what does that mean in practice?
It's very, very important. It's not always easy because we're all over the country and we have to figure out how to organize people remotely, because that will continue even when we can start having chapters. We're still going to have a national framework that's not going to have a lot of in-person meetings. So it's not easy to do. We're trying to build committees and trying to give women responsibility and to attend Zoom meetings, basically, to help make decisions for the group. So our feminist assembly is composed of women who have signed up to be activists. And in the group that we have members who may just want to be on a list, and they can welcome to be members, and occasionally we'll have a meeting that will invite them. But then we have a core group of people who've decided to be activists and want to be involved in decision making on a regular basis. And that's our feminist assembly, and that's the vision. It still needs to be filled out, of course, as we go along. There's lots of challenges doing that, but that's the goal.
Great. Well, thank you very much for talking to me today about Feminists and Struggle. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for tuning in to the first installment of Getting Organized with Elizabeth Miller. My name is April No, WLRN Canadian member and aspiring hermit. All of us at WLRN are super excited about this new content and hope you'll all stay tuned for more of these podcasts and other stellar content your feminist community radio station provides. If you'd like to receive our newsletter, please visit our website, womensliberationradionews.com, and sign up there. Please remember to like, comment, and share widely, sisters.